Wisebread is a multi-author personal finance and frugal living blog. I think a lot of you guys have written for Wisebread, and that's what makes Wisebread a little bit different from other PF bloggers. We want to be a hub for PF bloggers. We launched 5 years ago, and we've done okay in SEO. We get 500,000 page views a month from Google, and search traffic accounts for over half of our traffic. That's been pretty consistent. Our first year, it was about half. The previous month, it was also about half. We ranked in the top 20 for over 17,000 keywords, and I'll show you where you can find that information. And we have page 1 rankings for a couple of some decent keywords. About me, I'm Greg. I'm one of the co-founders of Wisebread. I'm the technical lead. My partners are Lynn and Will. They handle the other parts of the site. For a couple of years, I was the About.com guide to online business, and I learned a lot of SEO stuff from About.com. All right, let's dive right into the secret. The secret of Wisebread's SEO is to get relevant links to high-quality content from trusted authorities. And we'll go over each of these. This is really basic SEO, right? You guys have probably seen this everywhere, but we'll talk about how we actually execute this. Before we get into what we do at Wisebread, we have to understand how we think about SEO at Wisebread. The point of SEO is to rank, right? To get on the first page of search results. But which search results? We call these things keyword markets. We all want to rank for personal finance, but that keyword is really hard, probably impossible to rank for. Different keyword markets are like credit cards or saving money. These are also high traffic, high value keywords that are really hard to rank for. But there are smaller markets too, like recipes or saving money by cooking at home or recipes for saving money. You can rank for recipes for saving money, and it will help you rank for saving money or personal finance. So one of the ideas here is, with keyword markets, there's separation between keywords, but there's also a lot of overlap. So you can help your ranking for a tough keyword by going after smaller keywords. If you go too far, it's not going to help that much. But there's plenty of space in the middle where those keywords are winnable. Okay, so this middle space, this mid-sized keywords, that's where we'd like to play. Your task is to figure out which mid-sized keyword is your arena. When choosing keywords to target, there's 3 criteria that we use. 1, plenty of traffic. It's got to be big enough to matter, right? Homemade orange chicken recipe, maybe 10 people care about it. You could rank on the first page, but who cares? You don't want that anyway. So there's got to be plenty of traffic. 2, you have to be able to beat the competition, right? Just because you show up on search results, if you're on page 200, it doesn't really matter. You might as well draw in the rank. And 3rd, the readership has to be fairly valuable. I don't think we have a problem in this sphere with this, personal finance. Everybody's pretty valuable, so any keyword you choose will probably be okay. When you're looking at the 3 criteria, look at the columns. Let me go back. So plenty of traffic, easy to beat, and high value readers. The first column is plenty of traffic, right? You can go to AdWords and figure out what the search volume is for a particular keyword. Search volume just means how many people are searching for that term. As you can see, credit card, lots of people searching for it. But as you add facets to your keywords, credit card college for college students, or your first credit card, then the volume goes down. Let's look at the second column. Search results. A lot of people look at search results and think that's the competition they need to beat, but not really, right? You only care about the top 10 results, not all 192 million results for that keyword. So we don't use Google search results number to determine competition. We use SEO Moz's ranking difficulty number. This stat is a 0 to 100 number that tells you how easy it is or how hard it is to rank on the first page for that particular keyword. SEO Moz is actually a pretty expensive tool. It costs $80 a month, so I can't recommend it wholeheartedly, but you can do this research yourself, and you don't need this stat. Actually, if you do the research yourself, it'll be more valuable for your particular SEO campaign. And the way to figure out the 0 to 100 ranking difficulty number is to, 1, do the search, right? Recipes for saving money. And then look at the top 10 results. For each one of those, see if you think your content can beat them. All right, so you're looking at quality of content. Right away, if you look at the results, you know which ones are beatable. The second thing you're looking at is who is linking to those sites. You can use Google's link search to figure that out, or if you're looking at the domain, you probably already know. So if the results is about.com, New York Times, JD, Trend, maybe move on to a different mid-sized keyword. Eventually, you'll find a keyword that satisfies all 3 criteria, and it's winnable. That's the key to this slide. And the last column is just also another data point that we get from AdWords. This gives a general idea of how much the keywords are worth, but you guys probably have a better idea because you're not just using AdSense. You're doing affiliate marketing, so value of the keywords is really subjective. If your goal is to get search traffic who sign up for your email list, then you don't really care about the CPC cost, right? You want more targeted stuff. That's what value is to you. All right. Takeaway number 1 is to be a niche authority. Is to be a trusted site in this middle space. Figure out the space that you're going to dominate. We keep hearing, during these sessions, dominate one thing. There was a question to Ramit, how do I reach multiple audiences? And his answer was don't. Right? Pick one audience, dominate that. Takeaway 1. How do you become a niche authority? Actually, let's back up a little bit. What is a niche authority? In the past, when Google looks at who links to you, the focus was on the size of the linking blog or the linking site. But that's not the focus anymore. The keyword, or the buzzword these days is trust. Okay? The watchword is trust, not size of the linking blog. So what's a high-quality site? About 6 months ago, Google had a major algorithm change. They called it the Panda update. Their goal was to surface more high-quality sites and lower sites that had more gaming tactics, so traditional SEO. Right? So this update actually hurt people who were doing traditional SEO over the last 5 years. If you only read one thing after the session, you should go read this post. In May, Google posted 23 questions to help you understand what a high-quality site is. And this is from their point of view. So presumably, if you score well on all 23 questions, your site is worthy of page 1 rankings. Some of the questions are, would you trust the information in this article? Is it trustworthy? That's one of the top questions. 2, how does it compare to other results? SEO is not a vacuum, it's a zero-sum game, actually. So there's only 10 slots on the first page. So when you're talking about how good your content is, you have to talk about how good it is compared to the other 9 results that you want to beat. And finally, would you expect to see this article in a printed magazine? I think it's really ironic that Google is looking to old media. And the reason for this is that in the old days, the barrier to publishing was a lot higher. So I think the key to this question is this blog or is this content professional? Some of the other questions include, are there typos? I mean, it doesn't seem like SEO, right? But I think the focus is this content professional? Note that none of these are technical specs. They don't talk about no-follow, they don't talk about anchor text, they don't talk about, how many links you have. A lot of it is about trust and professionalism of the content. So a lot of people were hit after the Google Panda update. ViceBread actually did pretty well. In the 6 months after Panda, we're getting 70% more search traffic per month. So, I show the slide to brag a little bit, but also to kind of validate our philosophy. And our philosophy is to think long-term. Consistent quality over perfect tactics. I'm going to admit to you guys right now that we've made a lot of SEO mistakes. A lot of them are actually errors of omission. Right? So we tend not to chase the latest fad or do what everybody else is doing. It's not because we're smarter than people, but I think it's because we're scared of Google, so we tend to move slowly. This is a chart of our SEO traffic over the last 5 years. The takeaway here is that there are lots of peaks and valleys. There's so much unnecessary stress. And when we when we take a step back and look at the big picture, as long as it's kind of trending up, we're okay. Somewhere in the middle there, we probably spend some effort to do traditional SEO, managing like keyword research, huge spreadsheets of keywords. But that was really stressful, lots of hard work, and we weren't sure how effective it was. Over the last couple of years, we've shifted from massive spreadsheets to more strategy and less tactics, and we'll talk about that. Okay, so now that you have an understanding of Wisebread's philosophy and what we look at when we talk about SEO, we'll talk about what we actually do. Our playbook can be distilled down to these 6 points. It can be split up into the strategy and tactics. We'll go through each one. Strategy number 1, always be link building. This old news, right? SEO is all about links. And links are human referrals to your site. Right? Link building sounds very technical, but it's not really. What you're trying to do is to get another blogger, another human being, to say that your content is worth reading, or this is an interesting site. So the point of link building is actually to get people to like you. It's almost relationship building. But strategy number 1, always on top of our minds, the point of SEO is to get links. Lots of PF bloggers give away link trees on a daily basis. Getting on roundups is a good strategy. If you haven't been featured on all these roundups or the dozens of others that's in the PF sphere, why not? Right? This is the easy way to get links. Another way, a harder way, but also very effective, is to do guest posting. At lunch, somebody asked me if you're just starting out today, what's the one SEO thing that I would do? It would actually be 2 things. It would be try to get on these roundups, and 2, it would be guest posting on the blogs that either don't link to me or don't have roundups, or I want to spend a little more effort to try to get a link from a big site. Strategy number 2, engage the sphere. So far, I haven't talked about any technical things. You got to realize that SEO is just the modern iteration of business referrals. And it's still all about humans, still all about people. Engage anywhere and everywhere. When we started, it was in comments, in email threads, and forum threads. These days, it's replying in Twitter, replying in Facebook. We also run a weekly tweet chat where lots of PF bloggers come and talk. This is a good way to meet people and to get on Wisebread's radar. Right? If you come to our tweet chat and you say something insightful, now we know about you, and we might check out your site, and you might end up on a roundup. Or we might see you say something insightful, and then when you send us an email, we'll remember you. Right? This is more advanced, but the idea is the same. You want to go to the person you're trying to get a link from, and be remarkable so that they know you. Takeaway number 3, social media is SEO. A lot of people have asked me what kind of things we do, and I always tell them that forget all the technical stuff, forget the tactics. It's important, like robots.txt, sitemaps, anchor text, no follows, all that stuff is important, but it's not the key. Okay? All those things are there. You should know about it so that you don't hurt yourself with the technical aspects. But the key to great SEO, to grow, is not to do these technical things. Because that's the kind of stuff that everybody else can do. So the technical stuff, I say that's just a baseline. And the real SEO starts after that. One of my favorite stories is the story of the Life Remix blog network, which is kind of dead, but I like the story anyway. It was started 4 years ago by Glenn Stansberry. He invited Wisebread, The Simple Dollar, Get Rich Slowly, Zen Habits to join. At the time, we were all very new blogs, less than a year old, but Glenn brought us together because he saw quality, and he wanted to associate with quality content. Through that network, we met people like Trent and JD and Leo, and we also met people like Jonathan Fields, who is a personal development blogger. We didn't know about him, but because he was in the network, we ran into him at a conference a few months later, and he had just published a book. So we talked to him about how to get a book published, what do you do when you're looking for an agent. And though it didn't lead directly to the Wisebread book, it did help when we finally got a book deal. When we joined the network 4 years ago, we weren't looking to meet people in other spheres or try to get a book published. We did get links from the blog members, but that was like 7 sites. That's not the real benefit of the network. The real benefit of the network has been the private email lists over the years, and just the sharing of the knowledge and the support that we've given each other. So 4 years ago, it was a bunch of nobodies. Today, that network no longer publishes as a Life Remix blog network, but the members still talk on the list. So the email list is actually how Life Remix has evolved. Okay, Wisebread strategy. Strategy number 3, slow and steady. So you've already seen this graph. Look at all those peaks and valleys. All that stress is not worth it. In the beginning, we used to look at our ranks, change every day. SEO Moss has a tool called Rank Tracker, and there's cool other places that will track your rank for you. It's really stressful to keep looking at that email because your ranks will fluctuate long term. And I think it's too narrow to be looking at the ranks for one keyword. Right? If you remember the keyword markets slide, there's a lot of overlap. So if you're going for, say, saving recipes that save you money, you might not rank well for that particular ordering of words, but something else you could rank really well for, but you wouldn't know if you were just focused on that particular phrase. The takeaway here is not panic. Take a step back and not worry too much about the kind of day-to-day stuff. Okay. We just did the left side, we'll do the right side. Tactic number 1, magazine quality articles. We didn't really call it this, magazine quality articles, but over the years we've spent more time to professionalize our posts. And it's things like getting the right length, right? 800 to 1,000 words. You guys probably already know this, but the reason this is a good length is so you can build on it, right? Epic posts are nice, and you guys should probably do a couple epic posts, but 1,000 words you can write a series, and that series can target different related keywords that all help your main keyword. Let's go back to the recipe example. If you're trying to rank for recipes that save you money, you wouldn't put one big post up, right? With 100 recipes, it would be 100 different posts. And all those posts will talk about how this recipe will save you money, and they all link back to the table of contents or whatever. So that group of content will rank well for the keywords, but any particular page might not do as good as you would like. Talk about that. 2, pretty picture. This doesn't directly help with SEO, but it helps with the perception of your content's quality. And that's important because a lot of bloggers are looking at your content. So if you turn them off before they've even scrolled, then you're definitely not going to get the link. But if you get them to read a little bit more, maybe you'll impress them and they'll link to you. So in-depth Flickr search is definitely worth the time. And over the years, we've made our picture bigger and bigger, and now it's spans the whole width, and It's worth it. 3, editing is more important than writing. For SEO at least. And there's 2 reasons. One is a machine reason and one is for humans. So this is SEO 101 stuff, right? Formatting matters to search bots. If you put text in an H1 or in a link or in a strong tag, then Google knows, oh, this is important, right? So saving money is important for this article. Typos matter to humans. This is, again, about professionalism, the perception, right, of whether or not they can trust you. Tactic number 2, article checklist. Okay, this is probably the most technical SEO stuff that we'll cover. These are things that we look at when we post an article. On the left side are places for keywords. Tip, don't use exactly the same keywords for all these places. That's called keyword stuffing, and it's a really obvious gaming tactic to Google. So you should use natural related text. For example, the second to last item, image, alt, and title properties. Instead of trying to stuff keywords in those things, accurately describe the image. That'll probably help more than trying to stuff there. And the takeaway there is that a lot of people don't put anything in the image alt, so you could help yourself by putting something there. On the right side are kind of bigger picture considerations, and these are all about. Well, okay. Authority is about content. First of all, your content has to be good, right? That's pretty obvious. Readability is about formatting, and then the last 3 is about the content's neighbors, how people are getting into the content and what you're linking out to. Google also takes these into consideration. So it's what they call is like neighborhoods. So we do want to link out to our own articles. We also link out to other people's articles. We go back to our archives to see what's related. Link to the new article. We make sure like the related posts widget spits out something reasonable. We'll insert links directly into the article, even callouts. We just started doing that. Like, if you like this article, here's another one that you might like, and you get the user to look at a second page. And finally, tactic number 3, monitor and test. And we'll talk about the tools that we actually use. Over the years, we've tried a whole bunch of tools. It seems like every day there's a new tool. And they're all great, but after a couple days of using it, you kind of end up with the ones that actually give you real business intelligence. And these are the tools that we ended up on. SEO Moz is the most expensive one here. The others are mostly free. We found it to be useful, but it might not be worth it for you guys yet. The WISE 1000, also WiseBread's top PF blogs, we actually built this for ourselves. We wanted to have a place where we could see who the top cloud users are, or who all the deals blogs are. So as we started building that for ourselves, we found that other people found it useful, so we released it, and we've been building on top of that ever since. 2 services that you might not have heard of, SEMrush and Crazy Egg. SEMrush shows you the top 20 keywords that your blog ranks for. No. Shows you the keywords where you rank in the top 20. This is useful for your own information, but it's also useful to find out about other people. Right? So this blog is an authority on. The first 10 results are free. If you want to see all of the rankings, then it's $20 a month, and I think it's worth it. I don't know of another service that does this. Crazy Egg, heat maps. So Crazy Egg is a click heat mapping service, $20 a month. This is by far the best $20 we spend every month. And it's not directly related to the SEO, but it's awesome. It's helped us figure out what readers want or what they're seeing when they get on the page. And as we tweak those pages, then we get the SEO benefits as well. Okay, just to recap, get relevant to high-quality content from trusted authorities. And the way you do this is to cozy up to people and basically be the friendliest person at the PF blogosphere. I always like to end meetings with an action item. So next year, when you come back, you should have gone through the top 1,000 blogs and tried to get a link from every one of them. Now there's 1,000 blogs. It's a lot of work. But you can start at the top. You can look at blogs that are related to you, right? Groupings. You're not going to get a link from all 1,000 blogs, but by next year, you guys should have made some progress. Thanks.